You want to maintain that everyday interaction and that close relationship that you have. And in some cases, in other cases, you really need to create distance and give yourself a break and allow yourself to recover, especially if there's been abuse or if there is let's just say, a very unhealthy setup in the family. So I'm not talking about those situations where you do need to remove yourself from it entirely. I'm talking about deep disagreements with people that you love and care for and still want in your life. Okay, there's a difference there. So when you have a parent with one belief system and your belief system is entirely different, and they're constantly coming at you with a, oh well, I'll pray for you, or why don't you do this, or you know realize that part of that concern comes from a deep fear that what you are doing will ruin your life, or for that matter, your afterlife. Okay? If they believe that the choices you make will lead you to spend eternity in hell, they're going to keep talking about it. And it will be really quite challenging for them to let it go. And when that situation exists, and this goes for siblings as well, you can cut off that particular conversation without cutting off communication with your family. And you can do that by standing in a place of love and compassion and holding that. I know this can be extremely hard. This can be extremely difficult when again, you know that you're right and they're wrong. Okay, you know that. But if you can hold this place of love and compassion, even if you can't fully see where they're coming from, you don't have to know where they're coming from to understand that it's different from where you're coming from. That their perspective obviously is different than your perspective. And so many people I know have lost loved ones down this rabbit hole of Christian nationalism and the Trump cults and stuff like that, that they and not just MAGA, but some of these really bizarre culty beliefs that have just roped people in. And there is a certain amount of intervention that you can try on that, but mostly those people are gone, and it will be very, very difficult for you to reach them, especially if you come from a point of you were wrong and I am right. So even if we know, even in extreme cases like that, when we know that we are right, you stand in this moment of love and compassion, stand in a place of neutrality instead of you are right and they're wrong. Stand in this place of neutrality, of openness, not to receiving the messages that they think that they've gotten from outer space or whatever, you know, but if you allow yourself to be in that neutral position, then they will no longer be reactive to you. Because what we set up when we're like, you're wrong and I'm right, is that someone else will say, no, I'm right and you're wrong. And you have this constant reaction between the two. So if you can move from wrongness to neutrality, which is a different topic, it's not just a different space, it's a different topic, then that means that when they're trying to oppose you, there is nothing to oppose. There is nothing to oppose. And that releases some of the, let's say, negative energy that's going into this overall argument. Now, in other cases where things are not as extreme as that, but you still feel that you are right and they are wrong, you can actually ask yourself, what if they are right? What would it look like if they were correct? because that would give you a huge amount of insight on where they're coming from and why they perceive not just that one thing, but lots and lots of other things the way that they do. Okay? So if you can find one thing to agree with, or one thing that you know is true of what they're saying, even if it's surrounded by lies and propaganda and things that are untrue. If you can find one thing that's true, then you can hold that and respond to that as opposed to respond to everything else. And that also helps diffuse a situation uh, much more easily. So I think that that works better with siblings, where you have this constant sibling dynamic, that has existed your entire life, and the only thing I can change is how I respond to that sort of antagonism. So if you aren't responding, if you refuse to respond with your siblings and with your parents for that matter, when they set up this antagonistic relationship, the situation will eventually start to diffuse most of the time. there there are some people who are always going to approach it antagonistically, but that is a healthier way of dealing with it than constantly either coming across as condescending or coming across as antagonistic.